Hello and welcome to the Evidence Based Chiropractor. I am your host, Dr. Jeff Langmaid. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. And we're going to talk email marketing, how to build a dynamic revenue machine in less than 14 days. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go out to Parker seminars in Vegas and with 3,300 other chiropractors. Pretty awesome. And I gave a talk regarding this topic, and it was so well received. I wanted to take a few minutes and really break down some of the high points on today's episode in an expedited fashion. Also, I have an upcoming webinar that's going to go into this in great detail. So check your email and you are sure to see some details around that. You're going to learn the 3 primary campaigns you need to consider in practice, as well as how to craft great subject lines, great body copy, and great calls to action that really guide your patient through the entire patient journey in your practice. Before we get started, I want to say a few words about the Smart Chiropractor. The Smart Chiropractor powers your patient journey to provide you with more qualified leads, more new patients, better retention, and more consistent reactivations without spending any money on advertising. If you'd love to learn more about that, head over to thesmartchiropractor.com. Again, that's thesmartchiropractor.com. But as I said at the top, today we are talking email marketing. Now, sometimes I do marketing presentations, and quite frankly, a lot of chiropractors are much more interested in the clinical aspects of practice. However, this one was so well received that I wanted to touch on some of the highlights again on today's episode, and then encourage you to head over, if you were not able to be at Parker, head over, hop on the webinar where I'm going to go through a lot of this in great detail. So why does this matter? Why does email marketing matter in your practice? In my opinion, your email list and plus automation is the most valuable asset you have in practice, bar none. What do I mean by that? You might think it's the building that you own. However, I'm going to make the argument that it's not, because you bought the building for X dollars. You have to wait 10, 20, 30 years. You sell it for Y, and you take the difference out one time. Your email list can provide revenue for you day after day, week after week, month after month for that entire time. And it doesn't cost anything to really build. So this is the most valuable asset you have in your practice. Yet, so many chiropractors out there are not taking advantage of email marketing. They're utilizing email transactionally, meaning an appointment reminder, a missed appointment, email, that sort of thing. That's transactional. That's not really email marketing at a high level. Now, again, let's dive one step deeper. What does this look like in practice? Well, email marketing is estimated to provide a 4,000% return on investment. And just think about it. What is a new patient lifetime value worth to you? $500, $1,000, $2,000? Perhaps what's a reactivated patient? Maybe they're coming back in and they have maybe $500. If you think about that, and now you think about how many people you have on your email list, what if you're able to add just 1 or 2 more of those people each and every month? What if you're able to add 10 more of those individuals every month, which is very realistic and reasonable? It would make a big difference in your practice. It'd also help you fill some of the holes in your bucket, as we'll talk about. So many practices, they're pouring new patients in the top like water in a bucket, yet the sides aren't there and the bottom's not there, and everything falls out, and you constantly need more new patients because you have so many holes in your bucket. Email is one of the primary tools that can drive return on investment for your practice by filling those holes in your bucket. And how does that happen? Well, it happens by really touching every phase of your patient's journey. It can help you generate more new patients. It can help retention with your active patients, and it can create a flywheel of reactivation as well. So it's one of the only tools that touches all 3 phases of the patient journey. And over the course of the last 15 years, quite frankly, I have sent hundreds of millions of emails. Through each company that I'm involved in, we probably send a few million emails each and every year. Just with the Smart Chiropractor, on behalf of our members last year, we sent 6 million emails, for example. So we have a ton of data in terms of what works. And what works, it all starts with your mindset and your marketing philosophy. What do I mean by that? We approach everything within the Smart Chiropractor, within the Evidence Based Chiropractor, etc., with a teach and invite consistently philosophy. That is, teach and invite consistently. Teach, showcase something educational, entertaining, engaging to your audience, something valuable to them. Teach them something. We're doctors, right? Teach them something. And invite. Invite is your call to action. Hop on my schedule today. Share this with a friend. Comment below. You can have a variety of different invitations or calls to action. But every time you teach something, you've afforded yourself the opportunity to now present an invitation. So teach and invite. The last word's the hardest one. Consistently. You have to do this consistently. And if you do, it's probably painfully obvious as I'm describing this. Yeah, if I got out there each and every week through email, teaching my audience something about their body, teaching them how I can help them live a higher quality life, and I invited them to hop on my schedule, and I did that week after week, month after month, year after year, I think I'd have some pretty good results. And that's 100% true. We see it each and every day with the Smart Chiropractor, which is why we power all of this. But if you want to go at your own, we'll give you all the information to do it. So there's a couple of campaigns that you need to really keep in mind. And again, we'll go into this in supreme detail in the webinar coming up in March. So be sure to hop over to that if you haven't yet. But essential email campaigns, there's a few of them. I've touched on them in previous episodes, but I want to hit them really quickly before we get into the details of the emails themselves. You have to have a lead generation campaign, a new patient onboarding campaign, and a weekly email newsletter, aka a reactivation campaign. Those are your three. And write it down right now. Take a moment. This is critical. This is how you touch all three phases of the patient journey. Your lead generation is your new patient aspect of things. Your onboarding is the retention. And the weekly email newsletter is your reactivation. And the bottom line, let's start with the lead generation or the new patients. This is really, really basic, but it is not easy. And what I mean by that is this. Think about how many website visitors you have coming to your site each and every month. You might know, you might not know. Most chiropractors average, there's exceptions, but between 500 and 1,000 website visitors to their practice each and every month. So an average of, let's say, 750 people hitting your website each month. How many new patients do you have coming in your front doors? 10, 20, 30, 40? The question is, if 700 people are visiting your website, what the heck is happening to all those people visiting your website who don't convert into new patients? And I can tell you, you've probably heard me say this before, and you'll definitely hear me say it again. People don't cruise chiropractic websites for fun. I'm probably the only guy on planet Earth that does so. So those people are probably local to you that were looking for a chiropractor. There's a variety of different reasons on why they didn't end up taking action right then. But if you just let them go out into the ether, that's exactly what happens. So how do you convert more of that lost traffic? Well, you convert more of it by having an email pop-up box on your website, collecting the email addresses of people who are visiting your website, and then following up with value. In other words, having something on your website, the 7 days to get rid of back pain, 7 steps to find relief from neck pain. That's a lead magnet, we'd call it. You can do anything you'd want. We pre-build these in for our docs with the Smart Chiropractor. But imagine if 750 people visit your website. Let's say only 2% of those individuals opted in with your email pop-up. That's number one, 15 new subscribers to your email list. That's 150, 100, 200 new subscribers to your email list each and every year. Super powerful. If 50% of those people convert via the follow-up sequence, and we've built this campaign out so it's all automated, works 24/7, 365, that's an additional 7.5 new patients each month into your front doors. Just leaning into the traffic that you already have coming to your website so you can understand why I am so passionate about this. Is so important. Number 2 is retention. Onboarding new patients coming into your practice, they have a million questions. They're curious about the value and the benefits. Proactively addressing that through onboarding emails, super important. Also, we all deal with staff turnover and change. Somebody does a great job explaining things. Somebody does a not so good job explaining things, and everything in between. Take control of the situation. Have an email onboarding campaign that goes out when somebody starts care that addresses frequently asked questions, welcomes them to the practice. We'll go into all the details on the webinar, but really consider that. We have some reports and guides based on that as well. And then finally, number 3 is building that reactivation loop. This is an area where nearly every practice I have ever seen can use improvement. So sending an email newsletter each and every week. And I say email newsletter because that's what it's easy to think of. The truth of the matter is nobody wants your newsletter. What they do want is something showing them how they can live a better life, aka teaching and inviting consistently. That's really what our email newsletters, quote unquote, each week really deal with. So if your entire email list, your past patients. How many past patients do you have? Inactive patients. Maybe it's 100, maybe it's 500. If you're an experienced doc, it might be 5,000 patient files and records that you have, and you're still concerned about having new patients come in. Those are holes in your bucket. Even with just a few hundred past patients, you should be able to kind of manufacture reactivations, not through like super discounts, not through anything weird or cheesy or sleazy, but just by consistently communicating with the people who already know, trust, and like you. So those are really the 3 campaigns you need to take a look at. If you want to learn more about it, be sure to head over. I'll drop the link also in these episode show notes to the webinar, so to make it super easy for you all to hop on. So when you're creating an email, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number 1, subject line. Number 2 is going to be body copy. Number 3 is going to be the call to action. We'll go through all of them quickly here. So a subject line, it should be super compelling. 4 key attributes of a great subject line. It's short and sweet, number 1. Number 2, it uses a familiar sender name. Number 3, it tells what's inside. And number 4, it uses an action-oriented verb. So keep it short and sweet. When you look at your phone yourself, you see that only a few words, like 7, 8 words of that subject line come through. So don't write, the next great American novel in the subject line of the email. Keep it short and sweet. Use a familiar sender name. Like it shouldn't come from like johnnypants47@gmail.com. Make sure it's coming from like info@Langmaid Chiropractic, Dr. Jeff at smartchiropractor.com, so it's easily identifiable. Tell what's inside. So don't bait and switch people, but that's like just bad news and you're going to have a lot of unsubscribes. Tell what's inside. Discover today, right? First name, find relief starting today. Okay, I'm going to open it and expect something about finding relief. So keep it simple as far as that's concerned. And number 4, use an action-oriented verb. So discover how you can find relief today is a great subject line. It's enticing. It helps people get to understand what they're going after and what they're going to receive. Number 2 is the body of the email. So this ties back teach and invite, right? Educate, engage, entertain. Put out information about how your practice, the knowledge that you have, can benefit the lives of people in your community. This is not about you. It is about them. Now, the beauty of this is if it's about them, you'll notice number 3, the call to action, which is about you, will take care of itself. So having a clear call to action, schedule an appointment, click here to schedule your next visit. This is the time to be clear and direct. If you deliver nice value in that email, you deliver good benefit, at the bottom, don't meander around what you'd like them to do. Click here to schedule your next appointment. Be clear and direct. Confusion kills conversion. Confusion kills conversion. You don't want any confusion. If they click there, they're going to hop over to the scheduler and they can hop on your schedule, which is exactly what you would like to happen if they are in need of your services. So this is a super, super fast presentation today on this podcast about the importance of email. Hopefully this teased a few things out. Hopefully you got a few gems from today's episode. If you did, please leave us a rating or a review within iTunes or the podcast app of your choice. It helps more and more docs find out about this podcast. I am super happy to say and unbelievably humbled to say, I think this is the most popular podcast in chiropractic. We have 10,000, 11,000 plus listeners each and every week, but there's always more people that could use this information. We talk research, marketing, love to have some fun in the process. So if you got something out of today's episode or previous episodes, please leave us a rating or review. And also, be sure to head over, click those episode show notes, and we'll go in super detail during the webinar. You'll see examples of everything. You'll see exactly how this plays out, but I want to be respectful of time because we always say, Evidence Based Chiropractor, research and marketing in the time it takes to get to your office, and we will stick to it. Now, before we close, I want to say a few words about Power Step. For many of you, orthotics are frequently used to address foot pain and alignment issues, but not all patients need or can afford custom orthotics. So in those situations, I'm going to encourage you, trust the clinically proven pain relief and prevention of Power Step ProTech orthotics. This was developed by a podiatrist over 30 years ago. And if you want to try a pair for yourself, talk about a good offer here. pro.prostep.com/sample. I'll drop that link in the show notes, pro.prostep.com/sample. Pick yourself up a pair, try them out for yourself. This is a company that I came across a few months ago. My dad has actually had chronic variety of issues, but he has been utilizing these orthotics and has been very, very, very happy with them. So I have a personal kind of testimonial right there for it. So pro.prostep.com/sample. Docs, have a fantastic week in practice. If you have any questions, hit me up, Jeff at theevidencebasedchiropractor.com, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Evidence Based Chiropractor. If you want to grow your practice, come back for next week's episode. If you want to grow faster, visit theevidencebasedchiropractor.com and join our MD Marketing membership today.